Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Catherine Ross, and I head up the sales and the marketing and support team here at Dynamics Consultants. I've probably spoken to a lot of you at one time or another. So a warm welcome to the second Dynamics Changes event. The last one in November was very well received, and we had some great feedback, so thank you for that. Today we'll be mixing between live and pre-recorded videos to make sure that we have no issues with connectivity. Please feel free to put comments or questions into the chat box all the way through the sessions, and we will monitor these and take time to answer questions at the end of each session. We have a full agenda again today, showing you new features and functionality as well as new products. So without any further delays, I'm going to hand over to Tom Jenkins, our MD, for an update from Dynamics Consultants.
Hello and welcome to our second Dynamics Changes event. Our first event in November seemed to go down well, so hopefully you will enjoy this event too. We are of course enduring another lockdown, and I have to say that from an employee point of view, this is the toughest one yet. The novelty of working from home is wearing off, we don't have the nice weather to enjoy, and we are noticing the challenges that the lack of face-to-face interaction brings, especially for the more junior members of the team. We are certainly looking forward to the office reopening, although going forward we think that the ratio of home working to office working will increase compared to pre-coronavirus levels, and we hopefully can find a healthy balance. Before we get into the main event, I want to bring a few things to your attention. Firstly, BREP to CSP. This is an offer from Microsoft where your annual enhancement, your BREP, can be paid using the same model as is used for Business Central SaaS licensing, which is CSP. Your enhancement and our support can either be paid monthly or annually still if you prefer, and it gives you the advantage of being able to use the Business Central SaaS platform, either to see what the new version is like or with a view to migrating to SaaS in the future. There is an option after 3 years to revert back to normal enhancement after the third year. We see no drawback with this route, and so we'll default to this offer for anyone whose enhancement is before the end of July, unless of course you specify otherwise. Secondly, we are seeing more customers looking to move their on-premise solutions to SaaS. We feel the environment is now ready for such a move for many people, and the BREP CSP offer is now making this a more attractive proposition. Please talk to either Catherine or myself if you wish to explore this option further. The third thing on my list is to ask for a favour. With the latest advances in the Business Central architecture, we're looking at what further improvements we can offer above and beyond the base offering. We would like to have conversations around certain industry verticals with regards to what you feel the product and our offering is missing. All we require is a couple of hours of your time in return for a better ongoing service and £200 in your partnership rewards pot. Finally, just a reminder of the special offer around any AI or Power Automate or Power Apps consultancy that we mentioned last time. The first 3 takers will get a half price solution, and in addition, any partnership rewards can be put towards this work. I hope you enjoy the rest of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom, for the DC update. Remember, put your questions into the chat box. I hope you made a note of the offers from Tom, and if you've got any questions on BREP to CSP, then please ring us. Next, we have Will McIntee. Will is from QBS. QBS are the intermediary between Dynamics partners and Microsoft. Will is taking us through a few thoughts around the digital transformation that businesses are currently undergoing.
Hi everybody, my name is Will McIntee. Welcome to my session as part of the Dynamics Consultants Customer Day. I'm going to be talking to you guys today for like 15 to 20 minutes about being a transformer. You know, how you can digitally transform your business in this new wonderful age in which we live. So we're going to be covering 3 key points today. Number one, we're going to be talking about digital transformation and disruption in the marketplace. We'll be looking at ways to maybe not reinvent business productivity, but look at productivity in maybe a slightly different way. And then we're going to be talking about the impact of dynamics. Obviously, most of you on today's call are familiar with NAV, but talking about how Business Central exists with the wider Microsoft ecosystem and workloads that, well, if you're not aware of today, that hopefully today will bring you great awareness of and get you really excited about it. So just a little bit about myself. My name is Will McIntee. I head up a business in the UK called QBS Group. Our job at QBS is looking after organizations like the beloved Dynamics consultants. So we work with the majority of business applications partners here in the UK and Europe. For my sins, I'm former Microsoftie. I worked at Microsoft for about 7 years, where I ran the nav channel here in the UK. Left there to start QBS in 2013. All told, I've probably got 25 plus years experience of working in the ERP and CRM space as an implementer. Started off life as a techie, SQL Server 6.0, database consultant, and kind of evolved from there. If you ever want to not talk about dynamics, all you need to do is talk about rugby, Wales, Welsh rugby in particular, my dogs, and my fabulous partners like Dynamics Consultants. So what I wanted to talk about specifically today was the scale and pace of change that we're experiencing in the world. Let's start looking how business models are getting disruptive, and think about how the scale and pace of innovation and change is accelerating transformation. We're very much living today in what people are describing as the fourth industrial revolution, and it's characterized by typically an unprecedented investment and innovation in technology, and which is kind of blurring the digital, physical, and, well, in some respects, biological domains. For instance, if we look at based on current computing capacity, you'd only need to spend about $1,000 to do DNA sequencing. Wind the clock back 15 to 20 years ago, you'd be spending a couple of $1 billion to do on compute power to do DNA sequencing. And that's just an example of how compute power and the cloud in particular is driving change and accelerating the pace of change in which we exist today. So the other thing to also think about the pace of change is the price drop in other technologies. So if you look at, for example, the typical cost of a drone, some years back versus what it is today, you're looking at £50 versus today versus 10 plus years ago, £75,000. It's kind of mind blowing. If you think about say, for example, sensors, if you look at the availability and pervasiveness of sensor technology, it's kind of like a massive breakthrough that we're experiencing. The reality is that technology is becoming more and more affordable, and therefore become more and more accessible to everybody on the planet. It's what I would really describe as democratization of IT and technology. And what this means from a business to business perspective is that we've never lived in a more disruptive era when it comes to changing existing working practices. The world's largest taxi firm doesn't have any cars. The world's largest accommodation website doesn't own any properties. The largest retailers do not pay business rates for their shops. And we've seen the impact today, in the sad news very recently around the Arcadia Group shops, struggling to compete against online retailers because of the different cost base that they have to operate from. And if we look at the world's fastest growing food outlet, they don't own any restaurants. So, we are living in a world that is experiencing digital disruption at an accelerated rate, day after day after day. And typically you can have one of two reactions about this. You can either be the chap on the left or the chap on the right. You can either welcome these changes and embrace these changes, or you can be petrified of these. And quite frankly, guys, I spend my time speaking with organizations that work in this space. Usually it's a combination of the two. It's exciting and terrifying at the same time. But regardless of what you're feeling, the train has left the station. The world has evolved completely and utterly in the last 2, 3, 5 years, with cloud, if you like, as being one of the driving forces behind that. And so if we think, if we drill into what's going on in the market today, just if we were having this conversation 3, 4, 5 years ago, I'd probably be trying to describe what cloud was to everybody in this room. Now, that doesn't happen. When we see requests for information, invitations to tender documents released from prospective customers today, they are all cloud first, because most organizations get and understand the opportunity that cloud presents their organization to evolve and cope with the ever-changing world around them. The other interesting thing that we're seeing today is we're seeing more and more line of business or departmental buying decisions get made, especially around CRM and ERP. So we're seeing operational managers, we're seeing warehouse managers, we're seeing sales and marketing directors actually making IT decisions or being heavily involved in IT decisions, IT investment decisions, where historically they may not necessarily have been before. We're also seeing that we're all trying to do more with less in some respects. We're trying to drive as much productivity from the people within our business without, quite frankly, burning them out. A Gartner study shows that about 40% of an information worker's time is spent flipping between different systems. And it's quite an alarming stat. $450 billion that costs $450 billion of lost productivity every single year. And then the other thing is that organizations are beginning to realize that, as from a competitive differentiation perspective, investing in your own IT, investing in your own digital strategy is absolutely key. So what do we think when we were confronted by all of these challenges? Quite frankly, it's a combination of the yay, ooh, but also gulp. The world's changing very quickly. We have limited budgets. What do we do? Well, the answer is we do the very British thing of keep calm and carry on, right? Because what we're talking about here is an evolution. And by the way, Mr. Tom Jenkins, that is not me, second from the left. I have evolved to Homo sapien status. Thank you very much. It's all about evolution, right? It's all about having a plan, understanding the market in which you operate, and having a strategy and then a plan to execute, and even become the digital disruptor within your own workplace. And it's really fascinating because all businesses need to evolve. And I look at my former employer, Microsoft. The original vision of Microsoft was to have a PC on every desk and in every home. Obviously, they kind of evolved from that quite a lot, quite some way over the years. And so now the mission for Microsoft is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. So we all have to evolve. We all should recognize that evolution isn't a bad thing. I mean, the way I see it, one of the central tenets to your own evolution is the acceptance that you are now a software company. there is no getting away from it that at the heart of every business today sits some software that is making an impact on your business that can either that can help you grow productively and profitably based upon your software investment decisions. And when we think about digital transformation, there's four key pillars that I really think it's very important for us to get our heads around, to think about how we can impact these with our software investment decisions. And this is all around how we handle and how we perceive change within our businesses. And typically, I like to think of ways in which how we engage our customers, how we optimize our internal operations, how we transform our products or services that we deliver, but also how we ensure that our employees have the right tools to drive the relevant change. And it's fascinating, because if you think about how we really move on, each one of these pillars should support the other pillar. So the way that we engage with our customers should inform how we perform our back office functions. The way we perform our back office functions should hopefully create a digital feedback loop in terms of how we transform the products and transform the services. And all of this should actually drive the productivity for our employees. It's the job of Microsoft in some respects to provide the platform, to provide the tools for you and Dynamics consultants to go and build a future where you can digitally transform and enhance your business. And if we think about the Microsoft strategy, it is really, really interesting, because you've got on one hand, you've got Microsoft Azure, which I guess most of you are familiar with, Microsoft infrastructure in the cloud. You've also got Microsoft 365, which is Office 365 and Windows as a service. But the big bet Microsoft is making is around Microsoft Dynamics 365 and business applications like Power Platforms, that's Power Apps, Power BI, and Power Automate. Once you get your head around the abilities and the workloads that are available to Microsoft, you begin to realize how central the Microsoft Business Applications investment strategy is to the whole strategy of Microsoft. And it's really interesting. There's a guy called Satya Nadella, who's CEO of Microsoft today. One of his first jobs in Microsoft was creating the first Dynamics CRM product. He's the guy that launched Dynamics CRM 1.2 back in, I think it's 2002, 2003. So it's interesting. Business applications are becoming more and more part of the heartbeat of Microsoft all up, which is great news for those that have already begun that investment journey with the Dynamics solution. So if we move on and we think about typically all of you or most of you on today's call have an ERP system, and it's probably NAV or BC. But then you also think about, well, where does our CRM solution live? Now, a number of you probably use some of the CRM functionality today within NAV or Business Central, but obviously there's additional workloads that are available today from Microsoft. And I'm going to go on to an eye chart in a moment that I kind of think is really fascinating, because when I first started selling business applications, implementing business applications, you basically implemented some ledgers, maybe some warehousing, and then attached a pipeline management tool that became known as CRM on the side. Now those lines are really, really blurred. And it's key to kind of decide which workload you can draw, which workload you should be drawing upon to drive some of the digital transformation opportunities that you see within your business today. And if we look at this big old eye chart, this kind of brings home to me in some respects the continued Microsoft investment in business applications. And it's fascinating. I mean, a number of customers of NAV today always question, well, what's the future for Business Central? Well, the future for Business Central, quite frankly, is at the heart of the Microsoft business application strategy. So if we look at the most recent releases of Business Central, it's creating a tighter integration to things like the Dataverse, what was known as a Common Data Service, creating point connectors and APIs to allow integration with a whole stack of Microsoft Dynamics 365 solutions. And where we're seeing lots of customers start to really look at reasons to migrate from your on-premise NAV solution today to your Business Central SaaS solution tomorrow, is actually for that integration opportunity, being able to work with create point solutions with Power Apps, for example, and using Power Apps to integrate with D365 Business Central SaaS. You may have made investments in D365 sales or D365 customer service. Again, you probably want to think about integration opportunities and how you leverage the years and years of investment that you've made in NAV. Well, the answer is you start with your migration project onto D365 Business Central SaaS. And for me, and I've got a couple of eye charts here, and I do apologize for that. What I really love to see is these different planograms per customer, per deployment, in terms of how you're leveraging what your Dynamics investments, how you're leveraging say Office 365, and then other stuff, other IP layered on top of those two solutions to make your business make sense. And so obviously all these slides will be available to you after this. But here's something for you to go away and work on. How, think about things like, how does Outlook integration impact my finance department? Can we use Outlook, calendars and tasks to drive credit control behavior, for example? It's simple, quick wins that you can start plotting and thinking about today. And the great thing about the Microsoft story today is, is how much money they're spending on it. The investments Microsoft are making in the Common Data Service, what today is known as Dataverse, is now far, far, far in excess of what I saw when I was at Microsoft. So, it's a good place to be. And a number of times I get asked, where does Dynamics fit within my solution, within my business? And I like to look at it in terms of those four pillars of empowering employees, engaging customers, optimizing operations, and transform products, if you like, as being the top floor of the house. And then in the basement supporting it, you can choose from the different Microsoft workloads, whether that's Modern Workplace, which is Microsoft 365, Office 365, Windows, your business applications, which is Dynamics 365, plus Power Platform, applications and infrastructure, which is typically Azure, and the investments Microsoft are making around data and AI. So the opportunity after today is to go and have a think. Go and have a think about, can you be a transformer within your own business? So that's all today's about, is give you some ideas, give you some thoughts, hopefully maybe even a tiny bit of inspiration to think about the investments, the journey that you've been on so far with your Dynamics products today, but then think about where you can go in the future. And working with the guys at Dynamics Consultants would be a great place to start. So I just wanted to say thank you very much. I hope you found this useful. I hope you found this informative. Well, I hope on the next Customer Day, I can see you all there in person. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Will. That was very thought-provoking. Feel free to add any questions into the chat box and we'll get to them at the end of each segment. So next up, we have Stuart Hardman, our commercial manager. Stuart last time took us through some of the new technologies like Power Apps, Power Automate and AI. This time, Stuart is going to introduce you to Dick. Dick is our internal team's bot who has helped us with some admin tasks. Over to you, Stuart.
Hi, this is Stuart. Today I'll be talking to you about smart processes. One of the things we're increasingly finding as a Microsoft partner is we've been given a vast array of features and functions in the Microsoft Toolkit that we can use to solve customer problems and build packages for them. We sometimes struggle to work out how we can apply and use these packages, and so we always ask for our customers if they have problems to talk to us, because it might give us an opportunity to find a solution to a problem they're facing. So what we tried to do recently is come up with a couple of instances of features and functions that we can use internally in our business to start showcasing some of this functionality from Microsoft. So we opened our Microsoft Toolkit and had a look what there was. Everyone's now familiar with Teams. We seem to be using it increasingly over the last year as we've been sat inside. There is functionality within Teams called the bot framework, which allows users to quickly and easily start building their own bots within Teams that they can use to interact and carry out functions. Everybody uses Outlook, so we've included Outlook as part of this process, and SharePoint is used in the background, although you don't visibly see it in the foreground at all. There's also Microsoft Graph. This is something which kind of sits in the background and links up all the different parts of Microsoft 365. And one of the pieces of functionality is the ability to set up users and their reporting lines within a business. There's also other functionality and integration points to Office 365 and other Microsoft functionality such as Azure Active Directory. We've also used Power Automate, which some of you might know as flows, to produce some of the flows that we're using in the background of this. So we had all these pieces of our toolkit, which we're trying to work out what we could do with it. So we came up with a solution of Ask Dick. Dick is our new Teams bot. So we've built Dick within Teams, and Dick allows you to kick off using simple commands in plain English. So it uses neurolinguistic programming to understand the questions that you're asking it. It's a process-driven functionality. So once you triggered a process, it will go through and carry it out until completion. It integrates with the Microsoft stack, so it's using numerous pieces of functionality in the background, which I've already highlighted, and it's multi-talented. So initially we built it to handle holiday requests. We've extended that to allow users to query their remaining holidays, how many days they got left this holiday year, for instance. And now we've extended it to allow jobs to be requested. So internally, when we create a job for you, our customers, we request a job that's then created, and this kicks off the process. It's also expandable. So as and when we want to add new pieces of functionality into Dick, it's very easy to ask our development team to build a new function or a new process that we can integrate into Dick. So to start with, I'll give you an idea of our holiday process. It will probably look very familiar because I think it's a similar process in a lot of businesses. So initially, the user requests leave. That request goes to their line manager, who then reviews it and either approves or rejects it. A rejection goes back to the user, and approval then moves on to the admin team. The admin team then have final approval. This is particularly around sort of Christmas holidays, where you want to make sure that there aren't too many people from one department out at the same time. The admin team will then create a calendar entry, which goes into the holiday calendar and also into the user's calendar to show they're away. They will also create a resource entry in our Microsoft Dynamics Business Central system so that their capacity is reduced for the period they are on leave. We're now going to have a walkthrough of the functionality to show you in operation. Once the bot has been developed and deployed, you can pin it to the taskbar within Teams. So here I've got my Ask Dick test. I've also got a live Ask Dick, but I'll use the test one because I don't fancy booking any real holiday right now. So you click on the Ask Dick test and then start typing your question. Now, once you click into that field, it prompts you and says, what can I do? This thing is a list of the existing functionality that you already have in your particular bot. So now, bot, we can book holiday, we can view remaining holiday, we can ask for help, or we can request a job. So we can look at some of the holiday functionality. First thing you do is you can click View Remaining Holiday and submit that. This now goes off and it interrogates our internal Business Central system and it returns with my holiday. So this tells me that I've got 7 days remaining and a day's worth of toil. It also gives me a prompt for related tasks, so I can book a holiday by clicking on this function here. However, I don't want to book holiday. What I'd like to do is request some leave. Now, you and I both know that's the same thing, but computers aren't always that clever. However, this uses linguistic programming, so it understands similarities in words and meanings. So if I type request leave, it knows that I'm asking to book some additional holiday. This then opens up the holiday request card. The holiday request card has been built by us to our requirements. So we can then specify a start and end date. So I can say I fancy booking off a Friday sometime in February. And there's a bit of logic behind this, so you can't book an end date before a start date, etc. You can also specify hours. If you only want to book off a couple of hours or half a day or something, you can tell it the hours that you want to book off. You can type in additional comments, and it also queries the Microsoft graph in the background to know that my line manager is Tom Jenkins, and therefore this holiday request should go to Tom Jenkins. However, sometimes Tom's not around, so if Tom's on holiday, I can set an alternate approver if I have a pressing need for some holiday in the near future. And the alternate approver is just a list that we've built internally of people which can alternatively approve holiday. But for now, I'm going to leave it and I'm going to let it go to Tom like it would do normally. So I then send the request. The request has now been sent, and what happened is Tom would then receive an email. So now we're in Outlook, we can see that we've received a holiday request email. And this email has been generated by Power Automate. So it gives us basic information. So the holiday request is by Stuart Hardman. The dates that I've requested, so it's February the 19th, just for the one day. It tells me there's only one working day requested. And this is based on a calculation that we built into our particular process that removes weekends and removes bank holidays. Then as the requester, I can approve or reject it. If I approve it, I can add a comment, and if I reject it also. And then I can submit that, which then forwards this request onto the admin team. If I reject it, it will go back to the original requester. When the email arrives in the admin inbox, they can then view the email. They can see the same details, so who it's requested by, what the start and end dates were, etc. They can see who's approved it. Now, it's me that's approved it, but only because I'm bucking the system for the purposes of this demonstration. They can also see the approver's comments. They get the choice to approve it or reject it. So I'm going to approve this again and just say it's OK from admin and submit it. When this is then submitted by the admin team, this carries out a few different functions. The first thing it do, it will send an email to the original requester to tell them that it's been approved. So that's arrived now in my inbox. There we go. It then tells them they'll receive a calendar invite very soon, which I've already received. So the calendar invite is then inserted into the holiday calendar and also into my personal calendar. I can then accept that. So that's now firmed up and in my diary. And it also creates a resource entry in our back-end Dynamics Business Central system. So that's the entire process, start to finish. If anyone's got any questions, please feel free to ask them now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stuart. We love our stick in our office, especially the admin team, as it saved them hours of boring, repetitive tasks. So no questions yet, so please feel free to add them to the chat box. Now we've got Stuart again. It's a busy day for him. He's going to take us through a new module that we've developed to ease the pain from the planning team. Thank you, Stuart.
Hi, this is Stuart Hardman again, and next I'll be talking to you about MRP Express on Dynamics Consultants. If you use items in your Business Central nav installation, then you're probably familiar with, or at least aware of, the requisition and planning worksheets. The worksheets are used to calculate the material requirements in your system. In basic terms, they look at the stock that you have in your locations, the requirements and demand on that stock, and the incoming supply and stock that you have planned. From these three inputs, then decide based on your planning parameters what your additional requirements are and suggest them either by ordering from suppliers, from transferring from other locations, or by producing or assembling the items. However, if you're familiar with the worksheet, you also know that it's never that simple. The requisition worksheet often suggests cancelling orders or amending quantities based on changes to requirements, which leads to frustration with your suppliers. If the stock is already on a slow boat from China, then this isn't also always practical. It's also likely your suppliers won't appreciate regularly cancelled and amended orders. The requisition worksheet can also suggest multiple lines for the same item to be delivered on different dates. This can lead to confusion with suppliers, multiple delivery charges, and missing out on various quantity discounts. Our resident manufacturing and planning expert, Andy Trayfoot, came up with a solution, MRP Express, our own planning tool. This uses all the same setup parameters and stock inputs as the standard functionality, but runs a simplified algorithm on it to produce consistent, easier to understand results. In addition, we've also added more visibility of data to the worksheet fact boxes to allow you to better analyse and amend the results. Put simply, MRP Express does the following. It will not suggest cancelling or amending orders. It will bring forward requirements to the earliest date required and combine for single order lines. It will create order tracking entries to associate supply with the relevant demand, and it can be scheduled easily at the press of a button. The benefits that it brings to you is it gives you more clarity to your decision-making process. It gives you increased opportunity for quantity discounts. It gives you reduced shipping from multiple orders from suppliers, and it gives you reduced internal handling costs. So now we're going to have a brief demonstration of MRP Express and how it functions. The first thing to show is the MRP Express setup. We create a setup page that provides the user the ability to better control what is included in the calculation and also to control slightly how the calculation is made. It's also from here that you can automatically schedule the process and tell the system where you want the suggestions to be created. This means that the routine can be run overnight and be ready when your planners arrive in the morning. The first thing I want to do is go to the standard requisition worksheet. And we're going to very quickly, we're going to run the standard report, calculate plan for a set of items to show you how it works. So this has been run on a number of items. As we can see here, there have been multiple lines created for the same item, 70,072. They're all for the same location, but it's asked me to cancel one order, change the quantity on another, and place numerous lines of additional requirements with the suppliers. Likewise, on item 70,006, there's two separate lines there for the blue warehouse. So again, it's asked me to get two separate deliveries in for the same item at some point in the future. Unfortunately, on the requisition worksheet, if you want to investigate to find out why it's asking you to do this, there is no easy method of seeing the reasons why it's giving you those quantities. There are no fact boxes. Instead, you'd have to drill down to the individual items or to stock keeping units and look at the supply and demand on each of those. Now we're going to have a look at the MRP Express requisition worksheet and see what that looks like in comparison. So let's start by searching for the MRP Express requisition worksheet. This is simply an extension of the standard requisition worksheet where we've added some additional fact boxes and links to our report. So we're going to run the calculate process, our own MRP Express one, for the same set of items with the same date parameters, which gives us this set of results. You can see straight away that there are some differences to what was being suggested in the standard worksheet. For a start, there are a lot less lines. 70,072, the item, there are no suggestions to do anything. So previously it was asking us to cancel one order, amend a quantity on another, and then place two new additional lines with our suppliers. So that's one less upset supplier that we've got there. 70,076, there are two lines there, but you'll notice they're for two different locations. For the blue location, there were previously two separate lines. There's now one line and one requirement can be generated. If you've got any questions or queries about why it's asking you to raise an order for that particular quantity, when you select the line, the fact boxes here are automatically updated to give you the relevant information. So for this item here, if we look at the fact boxes, we can see there's a safety stock quantity of 1. And there's also a quantity on component lines of 68.75. Now the safety stock quantity is always included in the calculation for your requirements. So therefore it's asking us to purchase 69.75 of this particular item. So we've not had to drill down and look at the item card or the stock keeping units or any of the planning lines or the requirement lines. The information is there and readily available. If we do want to drill down for whatever reason, you can click on these and these are flow fields that take you down to the underlying values. Well, that was a very quick run through of MRP Express, but hopefully gave you some idea of its benefits and its functionality. If you're interested in trying MRP Express, then we can offer a 1-month trial of the solution free of charge. To purchase, we can also offer a one-off cost with annual support and maintenance, or we can also offer the option for a monthly billing model. So if you're keen on trying this or want to buy it, then please get in contact with us, let us know, and we can get something sorted. ASAP. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stuart. I know the Planning Express engine has been very well received in the companies that have trialled it and then subsequently installed it. And just to be 100% clear, the planning engine runs with the requisition worksheet as well as the manufacturing planning worksheets. As Stuart has said, you can trial this module, and if you want more information, then please let Stuart or myself know. So very quiet on the questions today, guys. So please feel free to put something in there if you have something that you need answering. So now I'm going to show you some new functionality to enable you to post cash receipts more easily in Business Central. So customer payment registration.
Hello, today we're going to go through payment registration. It's some new functionality that's been introduced into Business Central in the last couple of releases, and we think it's a great way to post payments from customers. When you first go into payment registration, you get taken to the setup screen, and it's a very simple setup screen. It just wants to know which journal template, what batch name, and what your balancing entry is going to be. So logically it would be a bank account. Once you've done this, then you don't have to go back in here again unless you want to change some of the settings. So when you go into the register customer payments, you get a list of all of the open customer ledger entries. So as you can see, these contain invoices and credit memos. So you have a list which gives you the company name, the company account number, the document type, document number, so this is the invoice number, the description, and then the due date and the remaining amount. And in essence, all you have to do is just tick this column here. Now, logically, you've got a list there organised in, looks like date order or some random number order, and consequently, if you're sitting with a remittance advice, this could prove quite difficult to organise. So obviously you can literally sort the customers by a ascending or descending number, and now you can see it's grouped them all. So you can see that you've got a number of outstanding invoices for John Haddock Insurance, and if I was sitting with his remittance advice, I could quite easily go down and tick those off. So if I go and look for the good old Cannon Group, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter to this value so that I'm just dealing with the Cannon Group. So again, a couple of ways to be able to process these transactions. So if I'm sitting with the remittance advice, they've paid this one, they've paid this one, but actually they've only done a part payment. So if I change that to 30,000, for whatever reason, they've decided not to fully pay this one. It's popped up a warning about the payment discount. So if this transaction obviously has payment discount on it, and therefore it will be registered as a partial payment. So from that point of view, because my transaction date is beyond the date received, then and the due date was earlier, it's not allowing us to take the partial payment. If I want to take the whole thing, then I can just literally click the number. So I can key in the amount received if for some reason there was a partial payment. So once we've ticked off all of the transactions, I can then go to the posting, and I can post the payment, or I can post it as a lump payment. Now this depends on how you want to see the transactions in your bank. So here where I'm posting several invoices against the Cannon Group, I want to see obviously those transactions cleared off from the customer ledger entries, but in my bank account I just want one total entry for the £1,300 that I require. So I can preview the payment. So if I post a payment, this will give me a bank ledger entry and a customer ledger entry for every invoice that I've ticked. So in this case I would have two, not what I want. But if I post as a lump payment, then that will post all of the customers, but only post one entry to the bank. So when I preview posting as a lump, you can see that I get one customer ledger entry and one bank account ledger entry. So one payment line closing off those two invoices and one entry to the bank. So this is what I want. So when I hit the post button, post as a lump payment, it gives me the total of these transactions, which is what I can't see at this point here. These are running totals for the total ledger entries. So this is where I would check that this agrees with my remittance advice, and then obviously hit the post button from that point of view. So we think that this is a lot quicker and a lot easier way to post cash. No longer do we have to explain that set applies ID. There is a similar functionality on the purchase ledger, but it's not so clean and so tidy because it's using the bank import, and traditionally people would use suggest vendor payments so that they pay the right figures to the right vendors that they want to pay, and obviously there's an overlap there with the bank reconciliation, but the functionality does exist on the purchase ledger side if you wanted to use that also. I hope you find this useful, and if you want to contact your consultant or give myself a ring, then please do, and we can talk you through and organise some training for you.
So now we're going to have a very quick overview of Jet Reports. Jet is an Excel-based reporting tool add-in for Naval Business Central. So I'm going to hand you over to Rob from Jet.
In this video, we will introduce Jet Reports, which is an Excel-based reporting tool specifically designed to work with Microsoft Dynamics ERPs. My name is Rob Jackson, and I'm a technical account manager providing support for our partners in the UK and Ireland. Before I show you the product, let's first take a look to explain what is Jet Reports. Jet Reports is a reporting solution built directly into Microsoft Excel. It is designed specifically for Microsoft Dynamics ERPs, such as NAV and Business Central, and it is the most popular add-on solution with over 15,000 users globally. Instead of copying and pasting or manually exporting data to Excel, we use functions to pull data into Excel, which eliminates errors, and this allows you to lay out and format your reports exactly to your requirements. When you upgrade to the next version of Dynamics, there is no need to rewrite your reports. You can simply connect your existing reports to the new data source. This eliminates any requirement to rewrite reports during an ERP upgrade, which can be an expensive and time-consuming part of the project. The process of designing reports is by using drag and drop tools and helpful wizards to create formulas. There are no specialist programming skills required, and Jet allows business users to design reports with ease. To get customers quickly started with Jet Reports, we make available a library of around 80 reports which can be downloaded from our website. This covers typical reporting areas, for example, monthly income statements, the wide range of financial reports, inventory turnover, customer sales, and salesperson performance, for example. You can use these reports as they come, or we have some support topics which explain how you can modify these reports to your requirements. Jet Reports has the following types of user. Designers are users who are able to design the actual report definitions using the design tools. Viewers are able to run and refresh reports with report filters of their choice. And finally, Excel users are able to open the Excel documents which were created with Jet Reports. This overview explains how Jet Reports works. We use the function wizard to build a formula that is structured in the same way as a standard Excel function. We query the ERP database when the report is executed, and then the results are finally returned into Excel. So what I would like to show you now is an example actually working inside the product, and we can just take a look at one of the wizards that helps us to create a report automatically. So inside Excel you can see the Jet ribbon, which is our add-in, and there are some tools here. Everything that I'm seeing here is the view of a designer. So I'm going to start with using the Fast Financial Reports wizard. We are able to select the columns that we require. So this allows me to show the account number, the name, the amount of our actuals, and I'm going to include the budget, what the variance is between my actuals and my budget, and also as a variance as a percentage. So I'll make all of the selections here. I'm going to choose to include the column headings in my report, and then I can choose a range of accounts. I'm going to scroll down to the section that starts with 60,000, which is the operating expense section of my general ledger account. And I can easily click the whole range of the accounts which end with 69,950. Now with the whole range selected, I can click and drag the contents to the Excel workbook, and in the background Jet will automatically create a report for me. I'll just show you a couple of the areas of the report that have been created. Here, for example, in cell H16, you can see we've got a GL formula which queries the NAV or Business Central system to retrieve a balance of a general ledger account between the start date and an end date. This is an example of the function wizard that you could use to build this formula manually. The formulas work in a very similar way to Microsoft Excel. For example, if I press F2, I can see the cell dependencies. So this formula is getting a balance of the general ledger account number that sits in F16 and between the start and end dates that appear in H10 and H11. We include keywords. So for example, when we're retrieving numerical information from the database, we don't know how big that number is going to be. And of course, Excel, if the cell is too small, it will display information with hash values such as this. But things like the fit keyword at the top resizes the columns automatically for us to make sure that we've got a well-presented report after it's been executed. So I'm going to go ahead and run this report. I always, if designed into the report, get a report option screen that allows me to add filters as a user. So a viewer would typically see this to enter any specific dates, for example. So I'm going to include a start date in my filters, and I am just going to specify that I want to see the results for one whole calendar year. And then I'm going to go ahead and run the report. So when we run the report, fresh data is retrieved directly from the ERP, and there's a couple of changes. For example, you can see that column H has now been resized again, such that everything is displayed correctly, and any of the Jet specific formulas have been replaced by a numerical value. So this allows me to send this Excel spreadsheet outside of the organization, and somebody without Jet could open this with no problems. One really important feature is the ability to get into the transactions that make up this number. So we have a drill down feature, and there's a number of different behaviors. We can ask the drill down to open up a data grid inside Excel, but most users use the drill down functionality to launch the ERP such that you can see all of the individual transactions. So you can see here that the client has opened, and I've filtered this general ledger entries list by the same account number and the same filter range that I included inside my report. So that's really valuable to users because you can quite easily investigate numbers because you've got tight integration back to the ERP. So in the report, we use a combination of Jet formulas and also standard Excel formulas. So for example, my variance is just really a sum which takes the actuals less the budget to show me a variance in numbers, and then a similar formula for the variance in percentage. When it comes to security for the users of Jet reports, we actually respect the security permissions for each user as they're already set up in the ERP. So there's no requirement when using Jet to manage another separate security model. When it comes to multi-company reporting, we can either simply switch from one company to another and execute the same report based on the results of another company, or it is possible with Jet reports that runs a single report that pulls data from multiple companies in a single report execution. And this is something that is not possible with the standard ERP reports, which only allow you to report on the company that you are logged into. Jet has also got a powerful scheduler, and it allows you to automatically run reports and distribute them in a number of different formats, such as PDF, CSV, or HTML. I'm going to now show you a different style of report that has been made, and this is a sales matrix report. This report takes a slightly different approach. We are using replicators in Jet the formula that is in this particular cell here, again, it's built with a wizard, so it's nice and easy to build, create a row in the report for each customer that I want to include. And this formula here in K8 is going to create columns for me in the opposite direction. So it's working, creating a two-way matrix for me, and the report is going to show the sales for my customer for the current period that I select. It's going to automatically calculate the period for the year before, and then it's going to show me a variance with some Excel conditional formatting. So let's go ahead and basically run this report. Again, I can specify a range of dates that I want to include. I can again change this, for example, to a whole year, and I can choose the number of customers that I want to include in the report output. So let's say, for example, I want to see the top 20 customers. So when I go ahead and run the report, you can see here that Jet works very nicely with standard features of Excel, such as the conditional formatting to show any icon sets, for example. And you can see that the report has expanded in two directions, with my rows function creating a row for each customer in this direction, and my columns replicator, which has created a set of columns in this direction for every month in the range that I've included. An important part of reporting is the ability to get to all of your data. This includes custom tables, custom fields, which may have been added to your database as extensions. When running Business Central Public Cloud, we no longer have direct access to the database, and it is more challenging to get to your data, particularly in the case where customizations have been added to the system. Typically, it requires technical skills to write queries that are published as web services in order to get to your data. When using Jet Reports with Business Central, you can simply install a free extension from Microsoft App Source. You can then make a connection from Jet Reports, and immediately you have access to all of your tables and all of your fields in the database, and this updates dynamically as new customizations are added later. A popular tool inside Jet is the Table Builder. I'll just show you a quick example of this now with an example that I've built just before. The Table Builder allows us to construct a data table which pulls information from different source tables in our ERP system. So for example, you can see here at the top, I've used my value entry table. I've linked this to my salesperson table, the customer table with lookups to the country region code, and also from my item table, looking up information about the product group and the item category. I can add some report options, and across the top here, you can see the layout of all of the fields that I will get returned into Jet. Once this is completed, the Jet report is built based on the definition of the information in the Table Builder, and now it allows me to execute the report on fresh data from my ERP. So if I just add into here a date range, and not forgetting, it's possible to put any data set together with the Table Builder, linking multiple tables that includes any table, any field, including your extensions and your customizations. And in the end, what we end up with here is an Excel table, and I can either summarize this information in Excel using standard Excel tools such as pivot tables or slicers, but because the table itself is actually given an Excel name, this really lends itself well to actually use this as a data source for Power BI. So if I open Power BI, this is a sales dashboard that is actually been put together with exactly the same data set that I just showed you there in Excel. And now it gives me a much more interactive opportunity to filter by dates, to select specific item categories, and also to select specific salespeople. And it gives me a very interactive experience. Hopefully this video has given you the opportunity to understand more about Jet Reports. Please visit our website or contact your Dynamics partner for more information. Thank you.
Many thanks, Rob. Please remember to talk to us if this application is of interest to you. We've had a question come in. So we're being asked, can you use Jet Reports without having Business Central or Dynamics 365? So Jet Reports is a plugin to be used with Nav or Business Central. It will work with both the cloud or the on-premise version. There are additional connectors to link to other elements of the D365 offering, such as CRM. So hopefully that answers the question. So finally, I wanted to let you know that we are launching our support portal. In the next few days, we'll be sending out an invite for you to be able to join the portal, and I'm going to show you in a minute how to log a call. I'm also going to show you some details that we send out with the database review, which you can get as part of your rewards points.
I'm just going to highlight a couple of things that we're about to do. So we are launching our Dynamics Consultant Support Portal. You'll be sent an email in the next few days with, and this will have the details on how you log in. You can use the same login that you had for the customer portal for those of you who use it. When you get to our homepage on our website, you will see that there is at the top here a support portal. So there is a login there that you click on, and that takes you to the next page. So in the support portal, there are 4 main buttons. So create a new support call, view your existing support requests. So this is handling any existing support calls that you've got outstanding and the history as well. So that if you find that you've got the same error happening a second time, then you can go and find that in the support calls. This will create an email for you, and this is the reminder of our telephone number. Underneath here, we have frequently asked questions. We've got some functionality, some new products that we're featuring, and also the blogs. So we do a lot of blog writing, and this covers a lot of the areas from a blog point of view. To log a new support call, we'll click on the new support button, and it opens up this window here. So as you can see, the first thing it picks out is the user ID and the company name. When we fill those in for you, the next one is the service item. So there's a drop down box under here that shows you all of the different items that you have on support with us. So it could be Dynamics Nav or Business Central, it could be document sending and receiving, it could be ship it could be document capture. So when you're logging a call, please make sure that you log it against the right element. That way we can get some really good statistics back for you. Once you've logged the detail, we have the priority button. So the priority, whether it's low, medium or high, please don't log everything as high. These should be reserved for, truly important urgent calls. We then have the title and the description. The title is used to find the call, on an ongoing basis, and for you to be able to find it in the future on a list. So make that meaningful. And then you have a whole box here to enter your description. So this is the details of the call. I'm getting this message. I can't find this. How do I do this? Or when I go from here, what do I do? So all of the details. Please give as much information as possible. Things like document number, company, if you've got multi-company, which vendor, which customer, all of that type of information, which is obvious to you at the time, isn't when we read the email. At the bottom, you can add attachments. So from that point of view, you can add an attachment down here. You can add some files so that if you get some screenshots, if you get an error message, anything that might help us, then please add the attachment. And then the last thing you do is obviously click on the green submit button. So hopefully that's all pretty obvious. Once you've submitted the call, that then comes into our support portal and will be worked on by the guys on the support team in the normal way. Under the FAQs, we're building this, we're continuing to build this, and we'll continue to add to it. So we're going to try and put them into categories, setup and finance, etc. One of the other things that we do as part of your customer rewards package is the database check. This first page details the information about setup. So here we've got all the users have super user permissions. Some have got DB admin security roles. And so on and so forth. So from that point of view, we've got 4 role centres in use. So some of this information is for information, and these red ones obviously are warnings. And this is just some sample data that I've pulled out. On these have a bit more impact. So here we're flagging up that we've got 3 GL VAT accounts with direct posting. So you could have some issues on your VAT reconciliation. Here we've got bank accounts with direct posting. Here we've got a red warning because we've got some VAT older than 4 months, so it slipped outside your quarterly element. So on things like control accounts, vendor control, customer control, GL posting accounts, we shouldn't have these with direct posting on them. They should be turned off, because all of this is causing you more pain on the reconciliation, makes the reconciliation more challenging. And if I go to the next page, so you can see here we've got automatic cost posting on, so that's great, fully integrated from the inventory point of view. But we haven't got any changelog enabled, so it might be you want to trap the customer credit limit, but there's been no changelog set up on this. So if this is something that you want to discuss further, you can get this database report as part of your customer rewards. So when you get your annual enhancement renewal through, you've got a few bits to do on it now rather than just pay it. So we've got the whole BREP to CSP discussion if you want to have that. By all means, feel free to give me a call if you've not already taken it up. And then you have this database check. But on your on your renewal, you will see the customer reward points that you have available to you. And this is one of the services we offer. I did detail a number of them the last time. So that's just a couple of things that I thought might be of interest to you.
Okay, so as there's no more questions, if you're watching this on catch up, then please feel free to email one of us with any questions you may have. So it just remains for me to say thank you to all of you for attending or watching on catch up, and please don't forget the several offers that we've raised as part of today's session. And if you need any more information, then please feel free to contact any of the team, Stuart, Tom or myself. You will also be getting an email from Jessie, our marketing manager, sending out the ubiquitous feedback form and the recording with it. So please fill them in, otherwise we don't know what you want to cover in the next event. The next event we've got scheduled will be in May 2021. So I look forward to seeing you all then and hearing from any of you in the meantime. Thank you very much for your time.